So we're coming to the end of this quick series on how each of the different Gospels portray the Christmas story. And we talked about Luke placing Jesus in world history, and his message to all of us is that Jesus came for all. We talked about Matthew placing Jesus in Jewish history and how his message to all of us is that Jesus came as king. We talked about Mark and placing Jesus in soteriological history, that's salvation history. And his message to us was that Jesus came to die. Well, John places Jesus in cosmic history. John is my favorite, the absolute favorite Christmas story of all time. It starts in John 1, verses 1 to 14, and it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God in the beginning. Through him all things were created that have been created. Without him nothing has been created that has been created. In him is life, and the life is the light of man. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. There is one who came from God, one named John, who came from God, who came as a witness to testify concerning the light. He himself was not the light. He came as a witness to testify that the true light was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came into that which was his own, and his own did not receive him. Yet to all who receive him, to those who call on his name, he gave them the right to become children of God. Children not born of a human decisions or a husband's will or I messed that one up. Born of the human decision, something in a husband's will, but born of God. Yeah, he gave them the right to become children of God. Children not born of something else, of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. And here's the line. I'm sorry, verse 14, chapter 14, verse 14. The Word became flesh and tabernacled amongst us. Tabernacled, dwelt amongst us. Tabernacle is a name for tent. One translation, I don't even know, maybe I made this up. It took on flesh and camped out for a while. Absolutely magnificent. The one who spoke the worlds into being, the one who spoke and had the galaxies in place, the one who created everything as large as the universe and as small as whatever makes up atoms, came. God came. We don't know when Jesus came. We don't know his birth date. It's something quite significant that we celebrate the birth of Jesus. What other world leader, what other person that changed the world do we celebrate the day of their birth? We don't do it because when people are born, we celebrate events. We celebrate accomplishments. We celebrate battles won and things changed and all of these events and accomplishments. But we celebrate Jesus' birthday. Now, when we think about it in terms of, how it came about, Christmas that is, we know that the early church began celebrating Christmas on the 25th because it was Saturnalius. It was a holiday that slaves were allowed to celebrate and take off and worship their own God at that time. And so Christians began to celebrate Jesus' birth at that time. We know later on as the church grew and gained influence that there was a philosophy about reclaiming, redeeming. Jesus came back to redeem us, to change all things. And so the church thought that we could redeem the pagan holiday Saturnalius. So that's why it became Christmas. And I enjoy Christmas. I don't mind it being on an ancient pagan holiday. Some people say that John's use of the word tabernacle suggests that Jesus was maybe born during the Feast of Tabernacles. It's interesting because a lot of Jesus' life lines up to the day with Hebrew feasts. There's not one for tabernacles, which, if John's right, if people assume that John is giving us hints of when he was born, that could be his birth. And of course, any serious scholar of end times, eschatological scholar, will know that no one knows the day or the hour. Jesus was telling us that he was going to come back on Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year, and no one knows the day or the hour that starts, because it's on the proclamation of the sunset by the high priest when it begins. And so the terminology comes with it is that Rosh Hashanah. So that means, Jesus is going to come back on Rosh Hashanah. My tongue is firmly in my cheek there. I've lived through Y2K. I will probably live through the end of the Mayan calendar, and live through the end of communism, might even live through the end of the empire of America. But the important thing to remember here is that God came. And what an awesome opportunity we have at Christmas to just be in awe of that. What is man that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the angels, and you crowned him with love and compassion. We get too familiar with God. We get too familiar with Christmas. We see it again through the eyes of your kids. See God again through the eyes of a newly changed person. Take some time this holiday season just to really embrace the awe of who God is. I want to thank you for checking out this series. There's links to all the other ones on there. Pastor, if you're a pastor, use anything you can. Make it your own. And if it encourages anyone else in any way, I really do appreciate knowing about it. Thank you. I'm Trevor Lund from RevTrev.com.